They told the world it was just 13 little colonies fighting for their own freedom. But what if I told you the American Revolution didn't just create a country, it set the world on fire, toppling kings, sparking slave uprisings, rewriting trade routes, and changing the way people thought about power forever. This wasn't just America's fight. This was the first domino in a chain reaction that reshaped the entire planet. Most people think the American Revolution is just about George Washington, redcoats, and tea in Boston Harbor. But that's the small picture. The big picture? The revolution didn't stay in America's borders. It sent shockwaves across the globe, inspiring France to overthrow its monarchy, igniting a slave rebellion in Haiti, stirring independence movements in Latin America, and forcing empires to rethink how they controlled their colonies. Even trade routes, shipping patterns, and global diplomacy changed forever. And it all started with a rebellion that everyone thought would fail. In 1775, the 13 American colonies were nobodies on the world stage. Britain was the most powerful empire on earth, unmatched navy, endless money, and an army that had beaten France, Spain, and the Dutch before breakfast. The colonies? Disorganized militias, no real navy, no central government, and divided loyalties. On paper, this was a fight they couldn't win. And even if they did, no one believed it would matter much. A few backwater colonies breaking away from Britain. The world had seen rebellions before, and most of them ended with the rebels hanging from a rope. But here's where the story turns. The American Revolution wasn't just about breaking free. It was about proving that ordinary people could take down a superpower. And once that idea got out, there was no putting it back in the box. Britain's war with the colonies quickly became a world war. The French saw their chance for revenge after losing the 7 Years' War and secretly sent weapons and supplies to the Americans. By 1778, they were all in, declaring war on Britain. Spain and the Dutch joined the fight too. Suddenly, Britain wasn't just fighting in America, it was battling in the Caribbean, Europe, West Africa, and Asia. The revolution forced Britain to stretch its forces thin and defend trade routes across the globe. The result? France regained some pride, Spain clawed back territories, and Britain learned a painful lesson. Controlling colonies wasn't as easy as it used to be. When France helped America win, French soldiers went home with more than war stories. They brought back ideas, freedom, equality, and the right to challenge kings. Just a decade later, those ideas exploded into the French Revolution. The storming of the Bastille in 1789? It was fueled by the same Enlightenment ideals America had put into practice. But while America's revolution led to a stable republic, eventually, France's spiraled into chaos, executions, and Napoleon's rise. Still, the spark came from across the Atlantic. Haiti, the revolution that terrified slaveholders. The American Revolution whispered a dangerous idea into the ears of the oppressed. If they can overthrow their masters, why can't we? In 1791, enslaved people in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, rose up. Led by Toussaint Louverture, they fought off French, Spanish, and British forces, eventually creating the first free black republic in the world. The Haitian Revolution was brutal, and it terrified slave-owning societies from the U.S. South to Brazil. But it proved that the principles of liberty weren't just for white colonists, they could be a weapon for the enslaved. Latin America catches fire across Spanish-controlled Latin America. Whispers of independence grew louder after America's success. Leaders like Simon Bolivar openly admired the American model. By the early 1800s, revolutions erupted across South America, breaking Spain's grip on the continent. The American Revolution didn't cause these uprisings outright, but it gave them a blueprint: form alliances, control trade routes, and appeal to the people's right to self-rule. Trade and travel, the world's roots, rewrite themselves. Before independence, the colonies were locked into Britain's trade system. After independence, America could trade with anyone. And they did. This opened new shipping lanes to France, Spain, the Netherlands, and even China. The revolution also changed sea power strategy. Naval dominance wasn't just about controlling colonies, it was about protecting free trade. This shift would shape global commerce for centuries. Africa and Asia, the quiet ripples. Even in places far from the battlefield, the revolution mattered. In West Africa, British and French trading posts saw new competition as American ships arrived looking for goods. In Asia, the revolution signaled that Western empires could be challenged, planting seeds that would grow into independence movements much later. By 1783, the impossible had happened. America had beaten the most powerful empire in the world. But the bigger story? The revolution had rewired the world's thinking. From Paris to Port-au-Prince, Caracas to Cape Town, the idea that ordinary people could demand freedom had escaped into the world, and there was no stopping it. The American Revolution wasn't just the birth of a nation. It was a shockwave that rattled thrones, toppled empires, and redrew the map of global power. It didn't solve every problem. In fact, it created new ones. But it proved that the fight for freedom could inspire the world. So, was it the ultimate game changer? If you measure by how many lives it touched and how far its ideas spread, the answer is yes. If you enjoy our journey, please like and subscribe to our channel, and if you like our content and want to support me, you are welcome to buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below.